Oh, welcome back to DIY Willy, and today I want to try to put power door locks in my Suzuki Samurai. The story behind this, I bought the actuators, the kit, quite a while ago to use on the Volkswagen. I never installed them, and well, I'm driving the Samurai more now, and the passenger door, for some reason the key does not work on that lock cylinder. Now it could be that the door was replaced with another door at some point, but the key doesn't work on the passenger door. So it's kind of frustrating sometimes when I have passengers and I have to reach across to unlock the door or whatever. So I figure I can buy new locks and replace the lock cylinder so they all have the same key, or I can just have some fun and put power door locks in. This has an alarm system in it, and it has the function of remote access, or with the key fob you push a button, it unlocks the doors. So I'm going to go ahead and connect it to the alarm system. There's some relays involved. You got two relays, one to unlock and one to lock, and pretty simple to install. I'll show the wiring schematic later on when I get to that point. I may not get to the wiring in this video. It depends on how far I get, but I will definitely install the actuators in this video. I only have a short time to work today, and I'm going to do the best I can to get as much done as I possibly can. So follow along. Let's check out how to install universal power door locks in a Suzuki Samurai. This would be the same process just about in any car if you want to add power door locks to it. There's two types. There's cable operated and there's rod operated. These have rods in them. They're not cable. Some of your new vehicles have cables in them, and there's different kits that you need to attach those cables to the rods. I have that kit as well. Maybe we'll take a look at that as part of what we're going to do, even though I won't use it, but I can show you what it is and what it consists of and what you need if you have a cable operated door. Like I said, my 86 Samurai has rods, and the kit that I bought comes with everything I need to attach those rods. So let me get the door panel off and we'll take a look. So first, let's take a look at what parts I have. So I picked these up from Amazon, of course. I'm a big Amazon shopper. These are door lock actuators, and it comes in a kit just as you see here. They're two wire actuators, one lock and one unlock, and they switch polarities to do that. Comes with the hangers to put them in. It comes with the rods, some accessories. We'll look at this a little more in depth later. Also, as I mentioned, this is the cable kit. If you have cable type locks on your vehicle, this is what you would want to attach the actuators with cables. It just has a few other little bits and pieces that I'm not going to use, but I have the kit, and I can discuss it more later, but that's the kit you would want if you have cable actuators. Also, you're going to need a few electronic pieces, and I picked up the two relays. They're 12 volt 20 and 30 amp relays, 5-pin. I've got two of them. Comes with a handy dandy wiring harness. Picked them up at my local electronic shop. Pretty cheap, not expensive at all. I've got a fuse, an inline fuse, because I'm gonna have to tap the battery for this power. I don't want to take the power from anywhere else. I have a junction block underneath the hood that I can run to, but I'll still need a fuse. And this way I'll be able to identify the lock cylinders easier than trying to tap a fuse that's already in use and just use that power. This will be fine. And then I have this. Since my doors are removable, I need a way to just quick disconnect them, and I think these will work perfectly. You know, I really think these will work good. They just come apart like that, and I'll be able to unclip this and carry the doors away. So also, I have a two-way monetary switch, I think you would call it. Let me see what the technical name for this thing is. Heavy duty rocker switch, on, off, on, momentary. There we go. So it will have, you would go, well, you can set it either way you want it, but you would have down for lock and up for unlock, And this is spring-loaded switch, so it automatically goes back to home. It's pretty stiff, it needs to be used. But it automatically goes back to home, so this would be unlock, and that would be lock. And then we just have another one of the quick disconnects for the other side. So let me get the door panels off again, and we'll look at how we're gonna put those actuators in there. Now the Samurai doors are really easy. I'll just take the window crank off, the new trim bezel, and this handle, and then there's just little clips like that you just pull apart, and the door panel comes off. So I'm gonna do that off camera so I can speed the process up. All right, I hope you can all see this. Now that I got the door panel off, I want to find a place for the actuator to fit. Now it's got to fit flat because this plane here of the door is really where the door panel goes. So I can't go beyond this plane right here, whatever this is. So the actuator, I want to put it here. So I'll try to find the best way. It looks like it'll kind of sit inside like that, and it might stick out a little bit right here, but I think that'll be okay, and it should still function. And the rod just slips. Here, take it out. The rod has a stop here, so you just slip it through like that. Stick it in. See, it'll still move, and you can bend these rods however you need it to make your final adjustments. And we're gonna go right here to this rod. You see, this is the one that moves, so we'll connect to that one, and we'll probably bend it flat so it's on the same movement. And yeah, that looks really good. Now we'll just get the actuator mounted in there, and we'll give it a go. Now when you mount these actuators, they come with these little brackets, and I'm going to put the bracket in like that, and it screws into the actuator, and I'm going to pop rivet it into the door. So I know I can't go beyond this because that's the edge of the door. I don't want it to be seen on the outside, and I want to go just like that. So I'll go ahead and screw this to the actuator. I'll find the position, I'll mark the holes, I'll drill the holes, and we'll pop the rivets. Okay, so what I had to do is take a little bit of material out to give room for the actuator to move. I'm gonna go ahead and pop rivet here, and I'm gonna have to put a piece of sheet metal here, pop rivet it, and then pop rivet it to that sheet metal to get it to work. And the actuator, I'll just bend the rod up to meet this rod right here. That way we're clear of this one, this movement, and we'll be clear of this movement. But I did have to open this up a little bit. Just made it better and made it sit flush. Okay, let me get that riveted in. I'm using an aluminum pop rivet here. We'll just stick it in there. Get this unlocked first. Got the aluminum pop rivet. Clear the hole. Stick it in. Crank her down. Just like that. Now, well, like I said, we'll make a piece to go right here of sheet metal. Everything still works, and I'll lock that one in. I just got to get that piece of sheet metal. Okay, so here's the installed door actuator. Haven't done the wires yet, but I've got it pop riveted to the frame here, or to the, excuse me, I've got it pop riveted to the door here. I had to make it a little extension bracket, pop riveted both there. It's solid. It won't go anywhere. It's screwed to the actuator right there. I did have to make a couple bends to get it tucked inside a little bit. I wanted this to kind of peek out so that the rod can slide through there. I brought the rod in. I made a bend in the rod to go up, and then it connects here to the actuator for the door. And these just tighten up against there. You can put a little bit of blue Loctite or red Loctite, whatever you want, on there to make sure they're good and tight. But as you see, it works. You can watch the actuator. It works. So when you provide power to it, it will pop open or pop closed. You know what? Let me get a little power, and we'll test it out. All right, so let's give this a test. I've got the actuator set up. It's in the lock position right now. I've got 12 volts here. Now this, normally these work on like a short burst, like a pulse. I have a constant 12 volts, so it's gonna pop, and then it's gonna want to do like more. But let's see which way is what. Just gonna tap it. That's open. That's locked, so this should be open. Yep, that's open. And this will be lock. There we go. Worked perfectly, just as I expected it to. All right. So now you've seen it work. It looks really good. I'm gonna go ahead and finish up the wiring to where the door disconnects, and I'll attach it throughout with zip ties. I don't want to use anything else with the zip ties. I'll run it along here, zip tie it to the bracket, and then I'll bring it over and I'll zip tie here, and I'll bring it down, and we'll find another way to attach it over here somewhere until it comes out right here where the strap comes in, and we'll just be able to just break the wires right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the wiring here and put the panels back together and work on the other side. All right, I'll see you when I'm done. Okay, so now I've got the wires connected. I made a little wire pigtail here. Connects to the motor. Now these are reusable plugs. Let me show you. Like that. See, they're reusable. I can unplug the motor if it goes out and plug a new one in. I am using duct tape just to hold the wires in place. You could use zip ties, you could use a lot of things, but since I want this on the outside of the door skin so it doesn't interfere with the window regulator, duct tape is fine, and the door panel will hold it on when the door panel's on, and the duct tape will eventually dry out and crack and peel and do all this kind of nasty stuff and look ugly, but for the meantime it'll work perfectly for what I need it to work for. So I did reroute this a little bit. It was catching on the door right here, and it still works. Everything still works perfectly. And we've got the quick disconnect down here on the bottom where this thing will tie into, and I'll have the quick disconnect right there, so when I want to take the doors off I can just unplug it and we'll be good to go. So let me put this all back together, and we'll get on the other side. Okay, take a look at the passenger side. I didn't cut out as much material here from the door, and I was able to not use the extra little piece of sheet metal that I had to use on the other side to get the bracket secure. Everything looks good. Now I'm ready to run the wires over. It functions just like it should. I went ahead and lubricated everything, so hopefully it'll stay working long after I get this job done. This is good and tight here. This is the connection to the rod. It's in there, it's working. Now this is the pigtail that I'm making. This has the female side of this connector. You just plug them in like that, snap them in, and then I'll make the other side to have this plug. Now you guys have seen me use these before. I like to use these butt connectors. These connectors have a ring of solder in the middle, so as you put the wires in there, the blue will shrink. Well, actually the whole thing will shrink, and the blue will shrink and actually seal on the wire, making a watertight seal. Then the solder in the middle, the little ring right there, will melt and bond the two wires together very nicely. So they come in different sizes, blue, red, yellow, and white. Unfortunately, blue is the one I use all the time. That's the wire size I have, and I've already got the wires cut, so I'll go ahead and put those together. Now when using these, let me see how I can show this. When using these, you strip back the wire a little bit, and I don't twist them together real tight. I just make sure all the wires are together on both sides. And see, this one is loose like that too. And you slip it in, and then when you put this next one in, the wires will intertwine with each other. I don't know if you can see that, but the wires will intertwine with each other, and when you melt the solder, it'll make a really nice joint, and it shouldn't come apart. So the blue will melt in there and help glue it and seal it, along with the white part that shrinks down and bonds the wire. All right, let's melt it down. All right, so here's the passenger side door car door panel, whatever you want to call them, back on. This one, it's not the best fit. I need to replace these panels, but here's how the wire is going to come out. It'll be connected to wiring up in the dash. This wire is for the lights that I haven't hooked up yet, but this will run over to the controller. So unlock the doors and it unplugs right there. Just like this unhooks right here, I can unplug this one and take the doors off. All right guys, here we go. We've got the actuators installed, the doors. This is actually about 2, 3, maybe 4 days later, and I need to work on the wiring. I just haven't had time yet, and well, today's the day. So I've got the little sketch here that I made for the relays. Your relays, you need to provide power to the actuators, and the power comes from the relays, and there's an unlock and a lock, and I've titled them this way: relay 1, relay 2, and you can see relay 1 and relay 2. So this is the unlock and this is the lock, and then the wires are accordingly. The relay wires, where I buy them, they're all the same color, and they're not exactly pinned the way I would like them to be pinned, but hey, what can you do, right? I could try to unpin it and pin it correctly the way I want it, because black is usually your ground wires, and in this situation the red is the ground wire. So I could repin those to have the black as the ground, but it's not that big a deal. As long as you have some kind of schematic or how you remember how you put this together, everything will be fine. Now, anytime you add accessories to your vehicle, you always want to put a fuse on it, and I'm going to use one of these inline blade fuses. This, it's kind of hard to see, but it's a fuse holder number 16. I buy them locally at an electronics store. ATM type, mini type fuse holder, and it's just basically a loop, and I'll just cut the loop right about here evenly and attach my power wires and my ring terminal to attach where my power goes. Here's my little ring terminal I'm going to use, and I'm not going to come to my battery. I have a junction over here where all my power comes into, so I'll just attach this here and run the wiring up through this little grommet right there and into the door lock relays. Okay, I'll probably do that off camera. See, I've got another one right here. I'll probably do that off camera just to make things simpler, but this is where it's going to go. I'll attach this to the wire. The wire will attach here. It'll run around, down, up, come along the wiring harness and in through that grommet. Into that grommet under the dash and into the rest of the harness until it goes over there where the relays will be. So I'm going to go ahead and run that wire. I'm also going to bring a ground over, and we'll get back on it when I have those wires over there. All right guys, I'm really sorry about this, but while I was working and having dinner and doing some other things, it got pretty dark out here, and I had to move the Samurai, so I just put the wires together, tucked them all up inside, put the panel back on, and I mean, it's done for the most part. I would like to do the wires a little better underneath this plastic piece, but I mean, for the most part it's done, and everything looks good. Here I've got the key fob, and we'll press lock, and they lock. Press unlock, and they unlock. All right, that system is really easy to install. Basically relies on these two relays to get the power and the grounds that it needs to the various wires at different times. And well, there's the schematic. That's what I follow. This is the alarm diagram, because I was missing these two wires on the alarm, so I just had to try to come up with some that I could stick in the pins and then pin it into the where it goes on the alarm to activate the locks, and it worked. I don't have the proper clip, but it worked. I just put the wires back. Once they were in there, I just put them back and zip tied them, and they stayed on the alarm housing. So yeah, that's it. I'll try and come out in the morning when the daylight and give a little better view, an operational test, and it works really well. Like I said, I'll come out in the morning and we'll get a look at it in the daytime and check it out. All right, guys, it's been about a month since I've done these door locks. Here we go. This is the passenger side. The whole reason I did this, I had problems with that key lock. Opens and locked. Beautiful. Can't get any better than that. All right, so that wraps up the install of the universal power door locks in the 1986 Suzuki Samurai. So if you liked the video, you know, give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below if you have any questions on anything, and well, I'll see you next time. Thanks for coming. Bye.